I've been putting off a small project of mine for a while now. Back in 2012 I juggled in the Lake District and made it into a video. However, back then I wasn't that good with video quality settings or anything like that and rendered it all in 50i. This was a deliberate decision at the time since most of it was recorded in 50i, but a few bits were 50p. In short, 50i is 50 frames a second, but it only records half of each frame to try and get a balance between quality and file size. 50p is the real deal, where it stores 50 pictures a second. Toward the end of the holiday I switched it to this setting, thinking that it would make things look better. However, it doesn't. In Sony Vegas, you have two options. If you render in 50i, the footage that's in 50i looks great. It's as smooth as 50 FPS and looks good when played back. The 50p footage, however, suffers from ghosting, where you can see multiple overlapping images when you pause it. So why not render it in 50p then? Because then all the 50i footage gets all ghosty. You'd think it wouldn't, but clearly there's a lot more trickery that goes into 50i recordings than meets the eye, and this is lost if it's rendered in 50p. I accepted my limited ability at the time, but kept the original recordings, should one day I possess the powers necessary to do it right. That day has come, but it wasn't easy. But it was still easier than I had expected it to be. Firstly, the audio from the video was messed up. This was because the camera records in 5.1 surround, but Vegas doesn't automatically pick it up and for some reason crams most of the sound into the right speaker. I didn't have the original footage of the intro, so I could only centralize it, but I replaced the faulty end audio with proper 5.1 sound, correctly converted into stereo. I then went through the video and selected the parts containing the blurry 50p footage. I set it to 50% transparency, allowing me to slide the original footage underneath until it lined up perfectly, then I could do away with the original. This was the bit that I thought was going to be more difficult, since I had over an hour of juggling footage to sift through for that day, and it all looked similar. Luckily, all I had to do was to line the clouds in the sky up, which gave me a rough idea of where the footage was, and then I slowly adjusted it until the balls and my hands matched up as well. I then added the colour correction that I had included in the original. In fact, I improved on it, since the original had washed out colours. I managed better results by upping the contrast and not the colour correction instead. All done. But there's another problem. I tried rendering in 50p and sure enough, all of the original 50i footage contained ghosting. I had to somehow include the magic that 50i features when played back in Windows Media Player. Shadow play, I thought. Unfortunately, it only records in 60 FPS and all of the video cameras in the UK stupidly record in 50. Those numbers don't go into each other well, but surprisingly you couldn't notice from the end result. However, recording a lossy video with a lossy recorder made some parts of the video flicker slightly, which I didn't like. I managed to solve two problems at once by using Fraps, which can record at both 50 FPS and is totally lossless. This way I was able to capture the magical 50i footage and convert it into 50p while retaining as much of the quality as I could. And then I accidentally rendered the whole thing in 60 FPS by mistake and thought that it had all been a massive failure until I realised what I had done. And there you have it. I am proud to present to you the remastered 50 FPS version of my juggling video from 2012. Most of you may not have even noticed the problem in the first place, but for me it's a great relief to finally get it out of the way and to delete all of those hours of holiday footage.